around. So, but when I got into college, I got serious, and then I became a much better student, because then to me, that's when it really counted, you know. Well, I was, I don't want to say the word, it's a bad word, it's obnoxious. I was very loud and dramatic and boisterous because I wanted attention. Basically, I wasn't getting attention at home, and I wanted friends, and I was always the joking person, always making jokes in class, and just because I wanted attention. So I probably bothered them a lot with that. But I had good intentions, so. I was just saying, I know my teachers thought I was pretty obnoxious because I was loud and always disruptive and making jokes, things like this. But like I said, when I got into college, I became more serious. But I tried to channel that energy in a more positive direction with being in radio and television, because it's a little bit of acting and stuff like that. So, and then I was more appreciated then. My working, or what I did? Well, I started out in radio as a disc jockey, and I did that for about 10 years at different radio stations in West Texas. I worked in Odessa and Lubbock, and I worked a little bit here in the Dallas area. And I also worked in television. And I did some production work, directing, producing. And I started out on the teleprompter because in the old days, that's where you would start out with. And but I built my way up to camera, and then starting to do directing and some sound engineering and things like that. The thing is, I didn't want to stay in Odessa anymore. This is a very small town, 100,000 people, and I wanted to get out. So a friend of mine lived in Chicago, so then I moved to Chicago, and I tried to get some work there, and I did a few things, but nothing serious. So then I just started working in a medical office, and I didn't like that very much, but I had to pay my bills. And then I started working at a university, and again, an office work, and I didn't like it much. And then when I moved back to Texas, I decided I'd get my teaching certificate, because I'd always secretly wanted to be a teacher, you know, but I'd gotten so heavy into radio and TV that I just kind of forgot about that. But then when I discovered that radio and TV is not going to work out for me, then I said I'd like to go into teaching. Well, in radio, you just have what we call a time slot. So I did like the 10 to 2 time slot. So I had the midday show. So that's what I would do. Of course, when you first start out in radio, you don't get the big shows. You just work on the weekend, and you do like maybe a 6-hour shift. And in television, I worked at a television station in Odessa, and it was the NBC affiliate. And like I said, I started out on the teleprompter and then worked my way up to camera. And then after camera, you could do a little bit of directing. So there was a show they had on the weekend. It was sort of just a little show. It had only 3 cameras. It had 3 cameras and like 2 mics, and I would do the directing for that. Just, you know, flipping the switch for the shots, and I would also do be the sound engineer. And that just means, you know, turning the mics off and on during a news broadcast. But I mainly worked during the news broadcasting. And a friend of mine, she was into acting, and I remember there was a TV show at the time, and it was called America's Most Wanted. And I helped them out with that, just doing like being an assistant type things. And I did a lot of voiceover work, you know, and recently I've worked with a local company. They're in Jordan now, but it's Nor Art, and I did some character acting, but voiceovers for them. So I've always kind of kept up a lot of voiceover work, just doing commercials and things like that. I work at IQA, which is an acronym within an acronym. It's, you know, the Islamic Association of North Texas Quranic Academy. And when I first converted to Islam, I thought to myself, wouldn't it be awesome if I could be a teacher at a Muslim school? So alhamdulillah, I'm living my dream. And I teach kindergarten. And some people think kindergarten, oh, this is just babysitting and little things. But actually, here in the United States in kindergarten, it's very academic. And this is where they learn how to read. So I feel like it's a privilege and an honor to teach these young children that I taught them how to read, which is one of the most important skills they'll ever learn in their life. So that's why I enjoy it so much, and I take it very seriously. Well, what I knew about Islam before I became Muslim was not much. I just noticed, like, I would see some women walking around, and, you know, honestly, I thought they looked very ugly with the scarf, and, you know, and I didn't understand. I was very ignorant, and that's about all I knew. And also, because I grew up in the 70s, we heard the big stories were the kidnappings in Iran, you know, and that was kind of my introduction to Islam, is maybe, I don't want to say a violent religion, but just, you know, scary. This was like a scary religion. And just like I said, the women look ugly with their hijabs on and things like that, now that I'm wearing one. So that was my own observation. But then I got to know some Muslims, and I learned about the religion through them. And that's when I got interested, because they would tell me things, and it made a lot of sense that which Christianity didn't. Yeah, Christianity has a lot of gray areas, and they talk about the Trinity and that Jesus is God, and that never worked in my mind. But then when in Islam I learned that there's only one God, and that you can talk to him directly. You don't have to go through anybody. You know, you don't have to have a priest or the Pope or Jesus or anything like that, you know. But I also like the fact that they still respected Jesus as a prophet. So I just found really through these other Muslims that I really liked this religion, and I was interested, but I wasn't ready to get into it yet. You know, that was a big change and a big lifestyle change, you know, because in America, we have a society of anything goes. You can do anything. And Islam, for someone who's not Muslim, it's very restrictive. You can't do this, you can't do that. You have to do this, you have to do this, you have to pray at this time of day. And when you grew up thinking anything goes, you can do whatever you want, as long as you're not killing somebody, it's okay. So for me, that would be a big change. And what would my family think, or what would my friends think? I'm a weirdo. What have I done? Things like that. But I did like the idea of Islam, and I did like the Muslims that I met. I thought they were nice people, and they seemed to have something really good, their lifestyle. So, and then I got married, and I married a Muslim man, and he didn't push me or anything, but he was like, you know, if we have children, they're going to grow up to be Muslim. And I said, yeah, I'm fine with that, because I don't have a religion. I'm not religious. I don't want to be Baptist, that's for sure. And I like Islam. Who knows, maybe one day I'll convert. I don't know. And then I started going to a halakha class with this lady, and she would teach converts about Islam. And I hadn't converted yet, but anybody was welcome to come. And one of my big fears growing up was dying. I had an extreme fear of death. I even spent, like in my early 20s, an entire year in a serious depression, because in the United States, we call it facing your mortality, meaning you realize you will die one day. And then what's going to happen to you? And I didn't know. And to me, that was scary. I thought, I'm just going to go into oblivion. I will cease to exist. And this is a terrifying thought. If you don't have anything, it's very terrifying. And so one day, I was talking with this lady, and she was teaching the class, and she told a story about Allah I'm just going to put it in my own words. I don't know where it comes from or anything, but Allah was giving jobs out to the angels. You know, so the angel of death, he says, you're going to be the angel of death. And he's like, I don't want to be the angel of death. You know, everybody's going to hate me. You know, I'm the guy that comes and takes people's lives. So, and God said, don't worry. It'll be okay. And he's like, no, I don't want to do it. And he said, no, it's okay, because I will give them reasons. And I don't know why, but that was such a moment that was so clear in my mind that, you know, it's only a reason. When you die, you say, oh, he died. But God gives us a reason. Well, he died of this, he died of that. But then after death, there is something. And that became so clear in my mind, and my heart got like such a relief. And I thought, you know, yes, I want to convert, because I want to believe like that. I want to be part of Islam. And now there's something, because going through life, living, anything goes. and doing things that in your heart, aren't right. You don't know why they're not right, but there's, in Islam, we talk about taqwa, and that connection. And even if you don't have religion, a lot of people know in their hearts, that's not right what you're doing,